Okay, greetings one and all, and welcome to this math lesson. In this lesson, we'll be considering the topic order of operations. Again, order of operations. So let's begin. Let us consider this acronym, and this acronym will be useful as we consider order of operation questions. And it says, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. The P in the please is what's highlighted. The E in excuse, the M in the my, the D in the there, the A in aunt, and S in Sally. PEMDAS, PEMDAS. That's the acronym that helps us to navigate through order of operation questions and helps us as a rule so that we can know what comes first, what comes second, and how we're going to maneuver when we have order of operation questions. So the idea is that the P stands for parenthesis. So if you're dealing with an order of operation question, you want to make sure that you do the parentheses first. So that's why we have the parentheses here. The E is for the exponents. And so if you have anything to the power of 2, to the power of 3, any exponent, even if you have square root, cube root, those would be done. So you have the parentheses first, then exponents, anything raised to the power of something. And then we have, notice we have multiplication and division. Now, some people think that multiplication comes before division, but that's not always true. We do multiplication from left to right because they are equally weighted. So multiplication and division are equally weighted. So you do them from left to right. So whichever one comes first, that's what you do. So if multiplication comes first from left to right, then you do multiplication. If division comes first from left to right, then you do division. The same thing is true for addition and subtraction. They are equally weighted, so you go from left to right, whichever one comes first. If addition comes first, you do addition. If subtraction comes first, you do subtraction. But you always do multiplication and division before you do addition and subtraction. All right? Okay, so let's move on to an actual question. So let's consider this. We have 12 plus 8 divided by 4. Again, 12 plus 8 divided by 4. Okay, so what we're going to do first, notice that we have division and we have addition. So we're going to do division first. So 8 divided by 4, well, 8 divided by 4 is definitely 2. And we add 12 and 4. 12 plus 4 is definitely 14. And so the answer here is 14. Next, we have this other order of operation question. We have 45 divided by 8 minus 3 plus 6. Notice that the 8 minus 3 is inside parentheses. Remember, according to order of operations, we always do what's in the parentheses first. So 8 minus 3 is definitely 5. And so we do 45 divided by 5 because we have to do division before we do addition. So 45 divided by 5 is definitely 9. And so we add 9 plus 6, and 9 plus 6 is definitely 15. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here it says find the value of 4 plus 5 times 2 minus 8. Remember that according to our order of operation, we do multiplication before we do addition or subtraction. So let's multiply. 5 times 2 is 10. Next, we have addition and subtraction. Remember, we do addition and subtraction from left to right. Notice that if we look at this from left to right, so from left to right, that means in this direction. If we look at this, the addition comes first and then the subtraction. So that means that we are definitely going to add first. And so we have 4 plus 10, and 4 plus 10 is definitely 14. And we do 14 minus 8. What is 14 minus 8? Well, 14 minus 8 is definitely 6. So the answer here is 6. Moving right along, we have this next question. Here we have 400 plus 150 divided by 2. Notice that we have addition and then we have division. We know that we always divide before we add according to order of operation, according to PEMDAS. And so we do 150 divided by 2. So we're trying to find out what is half of 150. And so we divide by 2. 2 can go into 15 7 times because 2 times 7 is definitely 14. And 15 minus 14 is definitely 1. And so we bring down, let's do the arrow. So we bring down that 1. Okay, so we bring down the 1. And when we bring down the 1, sorry, we bring down the 0. So when we bring down the 0, it becomes 10. So we ask ourselves, how many times can 2 go into 10? Well, 2 go into 10 exactly 5 times because 2 times 5 is 10. And so we subtract 10 minus 10 is definitely 0. And so the answer here is 75. So 100 divided by 2 is 75. And so let's add 400 plus 75 is definitely 475. And so our answer here is 475. Moving right along, we have this question. It says find the value of 3 times 8 minus 8 divided by 2. Again, 3 times 8 minus 8 divided by 2. So the idea here is that we want to multiply. So we want to multiply 3 times 8. What is 3 times 8? And this is a very good question because notice here that from left to right, right? From left to right, let's look at from left to right, which comes first. So from left to right, so we start here, we go here, from left to right. Notice that multiplication comes before division. And so we're going to multiply before we divide. But if the division was here and the multiplication was there, then we would have divided before we multiply. But in this case, the multiplication comes first. And so we're going to multiply. What is 3 times 8? Well, 3 times 8 is definitely 24. We bring down the negative 8 divided by 2. Notice that we have subtraction, we have division. We always divide before we subtract. So we're going to divide 8 by 2. 8 divided by 2 is definitely 4. And we subtract 24 minus 4 is definitely 20. And so the answer here is 20. Moving right along, we have this question here. They want us to simplify. This is a very good question because notice we have 63 divided by 9 times 7 multiplied by 2. And if you look carefully, you notice that from left to right, from left to right, division comes before multiplication. And so what that means is that since division and multiplication are equally weighted, we are going to definitely do the division before we do multiplication because from left to right, we always do whatever comes first. So they are equally weighted, and so we go from left to right. Whatever one comes first, that's what we do first. So 63 divided by 9 is definitely 7. And so we bring down everything, multiplication by 7 plus 2 and everything. So what we did, 63 divided by 9, that's what we did. That's how we got the 7 here. Next, we have to multiply 7 by 7 because we always multiply before we add. And so we have 7 times 7. What is 7 times 7? 7 times 7 is 49, and we do 49 plus 2. 49 plus 2 is definitely 51. And so our answer here is 51. Let's move on to the next question. Here we have 6 times 10 squared plus 3 times 10 to the power of 1. Remember, we always do exponents first before multiplication and division and all that, because exponents, it's parentheses, then exponents. And so we have 10 to the power of 2. That is, we're looking at a number raised to a power, so we're going to do that first. So 10 squared, or 10 to the power of 2, is definitely 10 times 10. And 10 times 10 is certainly 100. And 10 to the power of 1 is definitely 10. So we have already done the exponents. 10 squared, which is 100, and 10 to the power of 1, which is 10. Now we need to multiply because we have multiplication and addition. We always multiply before we add. So what is 6 times 100? Well, 6 times 100 is definitely 600. And 3 times 10 is 30. And so we have to add now. 600 plus 30 is definitely 630. And so our answer here is 630. Moving right along, we have this next order of operation problem. We have 6 squared plus 3 open bracket, 7 minus 2, close bracket. Remember, we always do the parentheses first. Whatever's in the parentheses, we do that first, according to PEMDAS. So 7 minus 2 is definitely 5. And so we have 6 squared plus 3 times 5. You notice that these are close to each other. That implies, or that means multiplication. So we have 6 squared plus 3 times 5. What are we going to do? Of course, we're going to do the exponents first. So 6 squared is definitely 6 times 6. 6 squared, again, 6 squared is 6 times 6, and 6 times 6 is 36. And so that's how we get the 36 here. Next, we just bring down the 3 times 5. Now, what is 3 times 5? 3 times 5 is definitely 15. And so we have 36 plus 15, and 36 plus 15 is definitely 51. Remember, if you add 36 and 15, that's definitely 51. And so let's move on to the next question. Here we have 27 plus 3 times 4 minus 8. This one is easy because we just have to multiply first. Because we have addition and subtraction, you always multiply before you add or subtract. So 3 times 4 is definitely 12. And so we bring down the 27, we bring down the negative 8. So we have 27 plus 12 minus 8. We're going to add first before we subtract because from left to right, that's what comes first. So 27 plus 12 is definitely 39. And when we subtract 39 by 8, we get 31. And so the answer here is definitely 31. Moving right along, we have another question. It says 20 minus 4 divided by 2. Remember, we always divide before we subtract. So we're going to divide 4 by 2. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. And next we subtract. 20 minus 2 is definitely 18. And so the answer here is 18. Moving right along, we have another question. Here we have 7 plus 4 times 6 minus 2 all squared. And so remember, we always do what's in the parentheses first. So let's perform the operation inside the parentheses. We have 6 minus 2. And 6 minus 2 is definitely 4. And so we have 4 to the power of 2. We have 7 plus 4 times 4 to the power of 2. Now, we have to do the exponents first before we multiply and add. And so 4 squared, well, 4 squared is 4 times 4. And 4 times 4 is definitely 16. So we put 16 here. And so we have 7 plus 4 times 16. We always multiply before we add. 4 times 16 is 64. We bring down the 7 and we're going to add the 7 and the 64. And 7 plus 64 is definitely 71. So our answer here is 71. Moving right along, we have this question here. We have 5 times 4 plus 6 divided by 2. And if we look at this one, we have multiplication and we have division and we have addition. Notice that the multiplication comes before the division from left to right. And so we're going to definitely multiply before we divide. So 5 times 4 is definitely 20. We bring down the plus 6 divided by 2. Now we divide. What is 6 divided by 2? Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And so we add. 20 plus 3 is 23. And so our answer here is 23. Moving right along. Oh, apparently that's the last one. So that is the last question. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.